Yo, 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 what is up, guys? It is your boy FTE Jenks. That's Free Thinking Era Jenks here today. Gonna go over another little react and then game. So basically, what we're gonna do today is we're gonna look at the situation between Pat McAfee and Aaron Rodgers and how Jimmy Kimmel kind of got brought up into that. And so I want to give a little bit of context, and then we'll talk about a little bit. I'm curious to know what your guys' thoughts are. My thoughts were one, who really cares about if your name's being called out? Deal with it. I mean, he Jimmy Kimmel is not one person to not throw out names and make jokes. Obviously, he calls himself a comedian, and so that makes him get away with things. And then Aaron Rodgers, who made a joke and probably also some serious tone behind it, and I think that's probably why Jimmy Kimmel got a little more hurt. You think that people probably get a little more defensive when there's maybe some truth behind it. I don't know. I'm not saying that Jimmy Kimmel is or was a part of it. He probably was in relation with Jeffrey Epstein because Jeffrey Epstein reached out to him, since Epstein was a guy that liked having celebrities in his life, and Jimmy Kimmel is obviously one of the top media guys in the world right now, and especially in the United States. So it makes sense that Epstein would want to reach out to him. And so to call him a pedophile just for having a relation, I think, is wrong, and that's what people should probably take into account more often. But that being said, let's go watch the video. Actually, let's talk about Jade. I got summoned for jury duty. What are some excuses I can get out of it? What does the Twitter population, or X, have to say about that? My hand is glued to the sidewalk. Yeah, that works well, especially if you're pro-Palestine.
Not like that.
Yeah.
So what we do know is the guy that stopped by yesterday caused quite a conversation.
A little bit, yeah. A little bit.
Now,
Per usual.
not like that.
Yeah.
So Aaron Rodgers Tuesday season 4 is done.
Yeah.
Complete. Good season.
There's gonna be a lot of people that are happy with that, myself included. To be honest, with the way it ended, it got real loud, and real loud. I'm happy that
got real loud because Jimmy Kimmel probably said something to him saying, hey, if another one of your hosts attacks me live like that, it's going to be on you and your show. And obviously Pat McAfee doesn't want anything to do with that. And it was Aaron Rodgers' fault for saying what he said, okay? And to blame that on Pat McAfee for just having him on, yes, they are your people, and you can maybe take something to account to stop that from happening. I get that. But how are you going to blame the man for another man's words that came out of his mouth? Like, that's crazy. If that's what happened. Jimmy Kimmel obviously went after Aaron Rodgers a little bit more, but I thought that was odd.
is not going to be my mentions going forward, which is great news. We're a conversation show. People are having conversations. We live in a country that has freedom of speech, but also you're going to have to deal with the consequences of your freedom of speech. So what I'm saying is we've given a lot of people who've been waiting.
It just depends on what the consequences are, right? I think if the consequences are that people can judge you based off of what you say, I think that's fair. I don't think that what people say is all the time what they actually mean or what they actually feel, but it is fair to be judged based off of that. But other than judging, what other kind of consequences should there be for free speech?
For us to fail, a lot of ammo and things to attack us for over the last week, and we would love to get back to the point where we just move on and continue to silence all the haters over here who can't negotiate as good as I can, all the people over here who can't create a show as good as us, and all the people up here who are just going to always be here, and they're going to hustle and do their thing, which I respect. But we need to do that, and that is our focus. That is our goal.
What the hell is he saying?
Aaron Rodgers is a Hall of Famer. He's a four-time MVP. He's a massive piece of the NFL story. Whenever you go back and tell it, he will be a huge part of it. We are very lucky to get a chance to chat with him and learn from him. Some of his thoughts and opinions, though, do piss off a lot of people. And I'm pumped that is no longer going to be every single Wednesday of my life, which it has been for the last few weeks. On Friday, obviously, I threw us into the fire as well. Forever stand by that. Everything else, though, just
he brought up the Epstein list.
Do that and not what we want to be known for. And I'm also pumped that I don't have to do these types of talks anymore. So with that being said, sports are alive right now.
Okay. All right, so let's go hop into just the regular threes again to start this reacting game. I gotta get going before I start hopping into the ranked play. I have not been playing enough this year of Rocket League, at least not well enough either. that back on. So basically, Aaron Rodgers definitely was thinking about the fact that Jimmy Kimmel's name would be on the board, right? Is this real life? Is this who I'm playing against? Okay, let me lock it out here. Aaron Rodgers obviously is going off the idea that suggests that anyone whose name is associated. Oh my God, that's crazy. You're missing that. That's crazy. That's a bounce too. Anyone whose name is associated with Jeffrey Epstein should be, they're pedophiles. And I obviously you can't assume that. Like that's just so unbelievably wrong to assume that anyone that ever talked to the man was a pedophile. That pass. That's just not true. Okay. I mean, can't we just, as common sense and logically, look at it that way? That everyone who just talked to him is not a pedophile. The guy was a man that wanted a lot of powerful figures in his life, and like that's what he looked for. And so he reached out to those people, and he invited them out, and maybe said, "Hey, I'll free jet for a week vacation, but maybe on this island that we're on vacation at, there's something bad going on." Well, like, is that on that person? Now, if they participated and there's legal, legitimate evidence that suggests that they participated in such actions, then absolutely they should be taken to the full account of that and be life in prison probably for doing that. So that mistake is unforgivable in some sense, right? I mean, the only person that can really forgive what better is God. So that's why, like, I understand where people are coming from. It's in your net. It's in your net. This team is so bad. Wow, I should definitely have done ranked. Basically, Aaron Rodgers assuming that anyone whose name is associated with Jeffrey Epstein is a pedophile is wrong. Okay, so then he goes out to say on Pat McAfee's show, "Hey, I'm excited for this list to come out." My boy Jimmy Kimmel, right? Obviously not his boy. They actually had a falling out, I think. Pat McAfee mentioned it in the clip, the original clip where Aaron Rodgers called out Jimmy Kimmel. But basically, Jimmy Kimmel called out Aaron Rodgers about his COVID vaccine opinions that he had on the COVID vaccine. Which, again, that's his free thought. And so, as Jimmy Kimmel is, Jimmy Kimmel is somebody that is a comedian, so he's going to attack people that maybe have some outlandish societal thoughts, which maybe are grounded in a lot of truth, okay? I mean, you just have to look into it and do your own research to know if Aaron Rodgers is right or wrong. I'll let people do their own research on that. I'm not going to sit here and suggest anything, but what I will sit here and suggest about, sorry, that's obviously oxymoron, and I'm dead. That's what happens when you speak like that. What I will suggest is that Jimmy Kimmel is on media, mainstream media, right? COVID-19 and the vaccines were developed by big pharmaceutical companies, which account for 70 to 80% of the advertising that occurs on those mainstream media channels. That being said, now that you know that, it would make sense why maybe either Jimmy Kimmel was either forced to say something about Aaron Rodgers and his COVID-19, or Jimmy Kimmel being smart in his business says, okay, well, these people are advertising for me and my company. I should probably have their back and say, you know what? If someone's going to question vaccine and the bad intentions in some cases, right? Like Jimmy Kimmel's probably backing up his advertisers, and like that's also fine. But what I don't like is I don't like the fact that, let me restate that, people these days are saying that people are guilty before innocent. And that's just not the case. It's innocent until proven guilty. And you have to take it at that face value. It is wrong what people do when there are fake accusations thrown and it hurts people's names, okay? Because it's very much perception and perspective based. Somebody's own thought and how they view themselves in the world could say, you know what, I'm a good human being, but another one's perspective could be like, oh no, you're a terrible human being. And so If that person goes out and tells the public that you're a terrible human being, the public's perception is going to be that you're a terrible human being. But you can't. But to say that without proven justification does have its faults. So Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion, is at fault in some case. It's not touching. Aaron Rodgers is at a fault in some case for accusing somebody of doing something horrific like that without the proper justification and proof, right? Just having your name on a list is not proof of committing a horrific crime, and that's just the fact, okay? That's just fact. That's how that works. Now, what I will say is that Jimmy Kimmel, again, if you did have some sort of relationship with Epstein, and that's what you're being accused of, and you had nothing to hide, why would you not just go out and say what the relationship was or what it wasn't? And maybe he has, and I just don't know. That could also be thing, and that's another perspective, right? You have to take things at face value and do your own research. Well, just sit here and blatantly say that, but why wouldn't you? Again, if someone is as big as Aaron Rodgers comes out and says, you know what, you're probably a pedophile, and you would probably be like, okay, well, that's just not true, right? That's not the case. And here's why I'm not yes, I did know this guy, or maybe, no, I have never once. If that's the truth, you would tell the truth. But people only hide and get defensive, typically, on things when they feel like they're being attacked for things that are wrong, which is true, which is probably the case in Jimmy Kimmel. Obviously, maybe he's not a pedophile, right? But just go out and say how the other is the proof. Like, if someone's going to accuse you of that publicly go out and say, okay, this is why you're wrong. And then that way people can publicly not attack, but like condemn Aaron Rodgers for going out with an idiotic statement about something that he had not had proof for. That's okay. I think, right? Is it what I'm saying okay? I'll have to go back and listen to that, but that sounds right. It sounds right that you should not just, if you're going to judge somebody based off of, you know, that guy really wanted to play with me. He goes, that's the best player I've ever seen. Yeah, buddy, I am that good. That is right. Just kidding. I'm smurfing on these people right now. But I want to finish my thought, and then we'll leave it at that. But basically, innocent until proven guilty, first and foremost. You have to look at it that way, or else a lot of things are going to collapse. You're going to hurt a lot of people's reputations. You're going to hurt a lot of people's livelihoods in general if you're going to assume guilty until proven innocent. That being said, if you're publicly called out, I also do think there's an opportunity to make yourself look really good in the light. If the light's being shown on you, there's an opportunity to make yourself look really good. And then there's also opportunity to condemn the person that, you know, maybe made you look bad. Okay, that's what I got for you guys on the Aaron Rodgers, Pat Mcafee situation with Jeffrey Epstein and Jimmy Kimmel, and bringing all those names into one and kind of showing you the issues with it all and maybe some of the good things that came with it. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for joining today, and hopefully if you guys have any questions about what my thoughts were, or if you had similar thoughts or maybe not, let me know and we'll talk about it. I'd love to get some converse with people on some of these issues. So have a good rest of your day, guys. Bye.